Hi BookTube! Sorry it's been so long since I last saw you. I've been really busy, but the other day I was trying to go to sleep and this idea just hit me, and I could not go to sleep until I had written down all the questions and picked out all my answers. So here we are, the animal book tag, and without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first one is an animal that only comes up for air, and that is the whale. What is a book you didn't put down unless you had to? I don't have this one with me, a friend is borrowing it, but it would be Lolita for me, even though the plot was about a very creepy old man and a very gross concept. The writing was just too beautiful to put down. It was just very well written, and I wanted to read it all in one sitting, but I'm a very slow reader, so that was not possible. But, you know, it's one of those books that you don't want to put down no matter how bad you have to pee, no matter how hungry you are. You just want to read it until you're done. The next animal is beautiful but scary, and that is a lion. What is a great book that intimidated you at first? For me, that would be The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, sheerly because of its size. I think this is 740 something pages. I'm sure you know what it's about. Everybody has already talked about this book. It's old news. I think it won the Pulitzer Prize in 2013 or 14. It's about a boy whose mom dies, basically, and you just follow him, not for the rest of his life, but, you know, through maybe his 30s, I'm not sure, I don't really remember, or, you know, 20s, I don't know. But he gets into some things in his life, and although it is long and it doesn't really have a plot, it's very character driven. Those are my favorite kind of books, the boring ones about a character, and that's exactly what this is. You just feel so sorry for him, and you do identify with him a bit, and so it's just a great read that I couldn't put down, and it was definitely scary at first, but beautiful and worth it. The next animal is a kid's favorite, and that is the Goldfish. What is your favorite children's book? And that can either be your favorite book when you were a kid or your favorite children's book right now. For me, it would be my favorite book when I was a kid was The Color of My Words. The Color of My Words by Lynn Joseph. I have it in English and Spanish. This is about a little girl who lives in the Dominican Republic. I'm not sure what time period, but she loves to write and writes on any piece of paper she can find. She ends up getting her sister in trouble because they're very poor, and her sister's a waitress and can't afford, you know, a ton of notebooks to take orders in. And so this little girl steals her sister's, you know, order book, excuse me, and writes a bunch of poems in it and gets her sister in trouble. So this is just a great book. You know, digestible by children, about, you know, how tyrannical a government can be and how that can affect a family and how that affects, you know, the family as a whole as well as the individuals in the family, and I thought it was great. It was my favorite book as a child. The next animal is the T-Rex, who has a big head and little arms. What is a book that is strong in some areas and weak in others? I don't have this one with me either. I just read it and then lent it to my brother. It is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. The first 26 pages of this book were absolute trash. I wanted to rip them out of the book and burn them and then just pretend like they didn't even exist, and just whenever anyone borrowed the book, just be like, yeah, the beginning of this book works out like this, it's not important, just jump right into it. It's basically this kid decides he wants to transfer to a school far away from his family or his parents. So a college brochure falls out of his closet conveniently, and it's to this college across the country, conveniently, that is a private institution and very expensive and very selective, but conveniently he gets in, even though he's not that special, and very poor, but they just have to have him conveniently, and, you know, he gets damn near a free ride conveniently. And then he gets there, and once he finds out that the Greek department, basically, if you can even call it a department because there's one professor and 5 students, once he finds out, you know, how selective the one professor is, he's just like, oh, well, now I have to be a Greek student. And he goes and asks the professor once, and the professor says no, And so he puts on nice clothes, goes back, and that does the trick. Conveniently. This is all in the first like 26 pages, I swear to God. In like a 450-page book. It was ridiculous. But the premise of the book is that, you know, once all of this conveniently falls into place, he and his four of the five classmates kill the other one. And you find that out on the first page. It's not a spoiler. But I thought other than the trash beginning, it was pretty good. It was like, you know, the main plot of the book, the, you know, 400 something pages minus the first 26 pages, those were, you know, a 4-star story. But just with the beginning, I had to give it 3 stars on Goodreads, if star ratings matter to you. But yeah, the weak part was the beginning, and the strong part was how the author, how Donna Tartt makes you feel so bad for the person that they killed in the beginning, and then in a matter of pages can just turn you completely against them and make you empathize with these killers, these just cold-blooded killers. And I thought it was great. The next animal is the spider. No, 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 no. I don't go anywhere near spiders. So what is a book you have no intention of going anywhere near? I don't care how many copies this book sells, how popular it is, the fact that they made it into a movie, the fact that I was a Twilight fan in middle school and it is in fact a Twilight fan fiction. I will not read 50 Shades of Grey. I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't think there's anything appealing about it. I'm not hating if you like 50 Shades of Grey, but it's just not my kind of book. And I know people say you need to give everything a try because you never know, but I'm just like, I just don't think that would be worth my time. So that's just something I have no intention of going near. The next animal repeats others, and that is the mockingbird. What is a great retelling or adaptation? This can be, you know, like the Twilight fanfic or whatever, if you're into 50 Shades of Grey. Or it can be, for example, my answer is a movie adaptation of a book, and the book was Pride and Prejudice, and the movie is Bride and Prejudice, which is amazing. And if you haven't seen it, what are you doing? It's on Netflix. If you've already watched Orange is the New Black and you can move on with your life, I haven't watched season, what is it, 4 yet? Whatever. Go watch Bride and Prejudice. It is basically Pride and Prejudice, but set in modern day India, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's just fantastic. It is just completely spot on. I watched it while I was taking an Indian literature course, and it was just amazing. There's plenty of song and dance, Bollywood style, and although I've never been to India and I don't even know that many Indian people, it just felt like a very true, I guess, representation of not only India, but it was true enough to the original Pride and Prejudice story, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not that long. You should definitely go watch it. The director, I think, is the same director as Bend It Like Beckham, if you remember that movie from way back in the day. The next animal is a hyena who is constantly laughing. What is a book that kept you laughing? For me, that is The Misanthrope. I chose a play for this one. The Misanthrope by Molière. This is hilarious. It's about this guy who just bitches and bitches about everything and how horrible people are and all the horrible things they do, but then he's just as guilty of them. I haven't read this in a while, but I did really enjoy it. It was written in 1666, but you wouldn't know. It's not, you know, I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by Shakespeare and stuff like that because it's hard to understand, but this isn't hard to understand at all. I flew right through it. It's only 50 pages. You should be able to find it for free on iBooks or for your Kindle or something, so there's no excuse. Go read it. The next animal is the mama bear. What is a book that has a fierce female character? I chose the 5th season. What is her name? I can't even remember her name. Do we know her name? Wow, I don't even remember her name. It starts with an E, I think. Wow, way to put myself on the spot there. But I read this just recently for the SFF Awards, BookTube SFF Awards, and I loved it. I didn't like it at first because I wasn't used to this kind of narrative style. It is told in, you know how things are usually in past tense. This is in present tense, like she goes, blah, 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 blah. And it does have a pretty big plot twist at the end. Everyone is black, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's just, you know, that's just not something you really see that often in science fiction. I don't really know why, because it doesn't matter, but this is a book about a world of predominantly black people, I think, who, you know how in most fantasy books, not everybody is magical, you know what I mean? Like in Harry Potter, you have to be special to go to Hogwarts. Well, in this, not everybody has powers, but a select few people do, and they're called Roga, or, oh man, I just read this and I can't remember the characters' names. It starts with an O. Oreo something. Origins. Sorry, I should have like flipped through this before. Anyway, Essen is the main character's name. Okay, so this book is about a black lady named Essen who is an origin, and that means that she can, you know, sense the tectonic plates and if they're moving, because in this world the tectonic plates do move quite a lot and there's earthquakes like all the time, and she can sense that and she can stop it if she wants to, and she can use it to her advantage as well. And at the beginning of the book you find out that her husband killed her son and kidnapped her daughter, and so for the whole book she's on a quest to find him. And it switches between the points of view of a young girl named Amaya, late teen, early 20-something named Cyanite, and then Essen, who is 30 or 40. And I thought it was amazing. The next animal is a cat, who is just horrible. Like, I hate cats. So what is a book that you despise? And for that, I chose Walden. I'm sorry, Henry David Thoreau, but I just cannot, I can't do it. I just don't appreciate the fact that Ralph Waldo Emerson is just as good as you know, in his transcendental ideology. I really like a lot of things that Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote and, you know, what he thinks. And I just don't think Henry David Thoreau was any different, but for some reason he thinks he's special enough to live off of Emerson's land so that he doesn't have to pay taxes and can live an authentic life and, you know, be one with nature and only have like 2 chairs and 2 forks and just, I can't. I don't even want to talk about it. And to end on a positive note, Man's Best Friend, the dog. What is a book by somebody you know? And I'm cheating. I have 2 answers for this one, because what I wanted, what gave me the idea for this tag is that I was watching a tag video by Steve Donahue, I think, and I realized that there are never questions in tag videos that talk about very little known authors, and maybe authors that you personally know, or authors from independent publishers or something like that. So I wanted to make a tag that would bring attention to some local authors I know personally, whatever, however you want to put it. And so here we are, the very last question. I chose this, one of the things I chose was this slim volume of poetry, which Steve will hate, but these are in Spanish. I don't think they have there's no it's not like a side-by-side translation version, but this is called I'm not gonna say it. My Spanish accent is horrible, but it's by Elvira Sastre. And this is just her collection of poetry. She wrote this by the time she was 22, I think, which makes me feel horrible about myself because I haven't done anything in life, and she's written an amazing volume of poetry. Many of them are love poems. She is gay, I think. So this is like not only Latino literature, but it's also LGBT literature, which I think is amazing. And she is very good friends with one of my Spanish professors from college. And his name is Gordon McNear, and he compiled this collection of poetry called Poetry Facing Uncertainty. And it's a bunch of Latina poets, and that one was my professor, not Gordon McNear. This is Fernando Valverde, and he is a great professor. He's a great poet. You should all read his poem. I think it's called Celia or Cecilia. Oh, I'll find it for you. But he was actually visiting my university, and I had the privilege of taking his class. And this collection of poetry is a side-by-side translation. So here's Celia, the poem. I think he won an award for this poem. And my professor has done a side-by-side translation of everything in this book, which I think is amazing. So this is, I do know him personally. I definitely know my professor personally. And this is more great LGBT, well, no, I don't think Elvira's in here. Elvira, I don't think she's in here, but this is more great sorry, I can't get rid of the glare. Latina poetry and literature in general. And it was great. I've bookmarked several things in here. But that is the tag. That is it. You're all tagged. I don't know very many people personally on here. If you're watching, you're tagged, because there's probably only 5 people watching. So if only one person did this tag, that'd be great. I think Amy from the Dusty Bookshelf might watch it. You're tagged. If Liz from oh, she changed her name to Dancing Lizard, I think. If you're watching, you're tagged. If you want to do it, somebody do it. Anyway, I hope you at least enjoyed it, even if you don't want to do it. But if you do, you're tagged. I'll be right back with a review of The Secret History and a wrap-up of the Tome Topple readathon, and maybe I'll mention the 5th season, give a better review of that, and what the other things I read for the SFF Awards. So I will see you shortly. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.